Hello, I'm Kottaveiinflux, where every day is a journey into my mind, and gently I welcome you to my imagination and the next season of my life. So, I woke up this morning thinking about, how you're trying to put the needle on the record just right, and sometimes you miss and it scratches just a little bit, it scratches, right? And you're like, oh snap, I didn't mean to scratch the record, because those of you who love records, you definitely don't want a scratched one, right? And so you're like, okay. Then you get the needle on there just right to listen to the exact song you want to hear, unless the album slaps, and then you're going to listen to the whole thing. But you get it set and it finally begins to play. And you're like, okay, this is what I was looking for. Damn, I wish I didn't scratch that record when I was trying to put the needle on the first time, right? Well, what does this have to do with art? Just hold on a minute. I'm going to tell you. Everybody sees the outcome. Everybody hears and sees the record playing smoothly. Nobody wants to see when you scratched and mess it up. And it's the same thing with art. Like, everybody wants to see the finished product. They want to know that you didn't suffer for any of the processes. They want it to be just right and hang level and be a certain way. And this is what happens when you listen to other people, because I don't. There's a lot of scratching of records that happens. There's a lot of like messed up paint. There's a lot of messed up substrates. There's images. You like, oh snap, I hate this. And you tear it up. That's the birds. Or paint over it or make it cease to exist, which I've done quite a bit. But nobody typically sees that. Everybody sees, excuse me, I gotta stand up my knees. People typically only see the parts that look finished. They only see the parts that are refined. Sometimes, you might let them see some of your processes, but who wants to show that they scratched the record? Nobody wants to show up in their imperfected ways, but I do it all the time. And fortunately, unfortunately, no matter what I'm doing, including this YouTube channel, I don't mind being caught trying at all. I don't mind being caught trying, and people who are around me see that. But if you're not physically around me, you may not. I'm not a person who typically posts a lot of my art in process. You'll see the finished piece and then it goes to its next home. But I'm trying to do better with that, because I do think it's important to show how you as a creative fail forward. As an educator, one of the things I used to tell my art students on day one is everything you make is not good. People tend to want to look for the good piece of artwork, right? The one that everyone's going to lean into and like. But there's something to be said about making artwork that's not good. What it does is push you to try some new things or do something different or start over, which is not a bad thing to start over. So what? You spent 6 months working on it. If your spirit is not appeased, maybe just start over. I remember one time several years ago, as a single mom who desperately needed money, I did this massive piece. I mean, the thing was like 5 feet by 6 feet tall, painting for a client. And I was going through a dark season in my life, so I did the piece, I dropped it off to her, and she rejected receiving the piece. And I was like, what? I literally at that point did not have gas to drive home. So I was like, what you mean you're rejecting it? Which means I'm not going to get my check. And she said, it's very dark. And I looked and it was dark, but also so was I at that season of my life. And so I had to load that piece of artwork back in my car after being rejected and go home. It sat there for years until one day I looked at it and said, okay, I know what to do now. I completely whited over that full piece of artwork, and I only have like a little snippet photo of it. And it became something new and beautiful and refined with the layers of darkness underneath. That first piece I made was the scratch record. The second one, was it playing? And was it worth priming over what someone would have said was a finished piece? Absolutely, because it got me to the work of art that showed more of my light. There's nothing wrong with art that's dark. It's just not typically who I am as an artist, but that was the season of life I was in. I was all scratched records and no playing. So So it showed up in my work. And there's something to be said about that. Every season of your life is not going to be one, and hear me out, that you can create well in or create from a place you normally do. I'm not a person who creates from sadness and angst and all of those things they say an artist should be. Like, people love the idea and of the suffering, tormented artist. I am so not that. Y'all love me. Love on me. Give me love. Send me love. All the love, because when I feel loved, I can pretty much tear down the world and rebuild it. And that fully applies to my art. I'm not an artist who creates from a place of angst and torment. But when I feel deeply loved and cared for, even if it's only from myself, that's when I'm most creative and my best ideas come to me and flow through easily. And so as I lean deeper into my creative practice and this shift of what I'm trying to do, and I'm scratching up quite a few records and failing forward quite a bit, I accept that as part of my journey. And I don't want to not speak on that, because I think it's important to show that every moment is not some tripping through the rainbow and inhaling the fresh air and skipping through the clouds, holding hands, singing kumbaya. Sometimes it's a little bit abracadabra. I think therefore it is, right? So as I move into this next season of my life, I am pushing myself to be more transparent creatively, and I urge you to do the same. If you're like me and you make your work for yourself and people can buy it on the back end of that, do that. Don't limit yourself on what you're trying and what you're doing. So I am Kottaveiinflux, living my life with no ceiling, no floor, no walls, no box, just the world. If you enjoyed this talk, please like, subscribe, and if you feel so inclined, please share.